Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the new and experienced investor podcast. We are super excited. We have an in-house guest in the new studio. This is awesome.
Nice.
Every week keeps getting better. And this is a podcast where we connect new and experienced investors, all walks of life. And today we have a very, very awesome agent and investor, Eric Oles. So welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Alex Barnett. I'm the new guy.
I'm Joe Holmes, and I'm the experienced guy.
That's right. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Eric, go ahead and give us your background. How'd you get started in real estate, and what were you doing before real estate that led you, kind of getting started in that?
Sure. So to start, I grew up in Chicago. I lived in a suburb called Naperville. That's where I was growing up. I went to school out in University of Central Florida for college. Came back. I worked in some sort of realm of healthcare for the most part, and then my wife and I moved here 2017, and it was kind of like a fresh slate, going to a new state, and just I wanted to pick up something else, and my wife actually kind of recommended it, just saying, hey, I think you'd be pretty good at real estate, and kind of went from there. So the transition over from Chicago to over here and just kind of switching professions, it was just exciting and something I kind of wanted to do.
Awesome. Okay, so this is a new studio, so there's always little kinks and stuff. So what I'm going to have you do is pull the mic out of the stand just so it's a little bit, pull it out just like that, just like your lead singer.
Okay.
Keep going, all the way out, like in your hand. Don't even use the stand.
Oh, gotcha.
So then you can just keep it right up.
Gotcha. You got it?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
That's awesome. So your wife pushed you to kind of get into real estate. Now, does she have a real estate background, or what made her think of that?
No, you know what? She actually is very analytical. Okay. So she has a specific degree in human resources, and then also mixing that in with a lot of intricacies and doing case studies. And she actually worked at CAR a little bit under Leslie Appleton Young, did reports and sent it directly to her. So they were creating surveys throughout the whole state of California that Leslie used in her presentations and stuff. So that was pretty cool. But either way, she was the one that was like, hey, I think that it's something good for you. And she's more of the, kind of person that's a little bit more behind the scenes. Okay. And it's actually, she kind of started doing the wholesaling calls because she had run across somebody's information on Facebook, and essentially she got started making some wholesaling calls for this guy out in Indiana. So then she's like, oh, maybe that's a good idea to reach out and see, and that's where I'm at right now. So just
that's
looking
great.
Forward to the opportunity for that.
I love that. And in case you guys don't know, we're talking about wholesaling real estate. So there's kind of two avenues, I guess, somebody can go down, is the residential agent route, or maybe the wholesaling route when they're first getting started. What would you say? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. And I would say, maybe tell us a little bit about your real estate experience before you got to the point where Alex and I are basically training you how to do wholesaling.
Sure.
So talk about when you got your license, what you were doing, which brokerage you're with, who you're with now,
Sure.
all that.
Sure. So like I said, I came out here in about 2017. I came out here obviously with eyes wide open and thinking that, oh geez, all this was just going to come to me. I would have, buyers and sellers for some odd reason. I just thought it was going to work out like that, but it didn't. So again, I was in way over my head, no experience. I was at a brokerage, Dilbeck, for a little bit out in Pasadena. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I went over, I was there for about a year until I realized, okay, I got to go and really, master this before I, go forward with this real estate thing, because you do have to know your stuff. And that's what brought me into, I went into an associate agent role at Redfin, but you couldn't necessarily write contracts. You were there to run open houses, go to inspections, take people on showings, but you were always working for that lead agent. You were not able to write contracts and things like that. So that's where I was at. It taught me a lot about learning about the MLS, reaching out, the standards and procedures of how that works. It really taught me a lot going into things and working with clients, because I had that leg up on knowing, all the protocols to go through, which a lot of people don't, and it will get you in serious trouble. So that was a good thing. And then from there, I went and worked as a transaction coordinator for about a year and a half. So my time at Redfin totaled about 3 years or so. And as a transaction coordinator, it was essentially everything that I don't like to deal with. It's paperwork. It's, going through all the intricacies and just all the fine line and the print and everything, going over each and every word, and all the addendums and all the disclosures and everything. And now I can say that I know that stuff pretty confidently. Most of the agents that I work with a transaction coordinator, and I'm also proud when I say, like, I am my own transaction coordinator. You know what I mean? So that means there's not too many cooks in the kitchen. It's just, just me. And again, it's just, you really have to know your contracts. And like I said, it wasn't the easiest job for me, but all said and done is definitely worth it. Just to have that knowledge and know what goes on behind the scenes in a contract. And then my last brokerage was also, that one was Remax, and I was on a team, and I just felt I wanted to go and explore something else. And Joe, I don't even know exactly how we hooked up, but man, it's a blessing. It really is. I'm so happy to be here. It was almost too good to be true things with with these minimal fees at the, from the desk fees and just the commission split, is peanuts. What was it, Joe? Like $850 from any transaction. Yep. Joe is here. You can tell, if you're watching this video. I mean, Joe and Alex. I mean, the amount of content here is insane. So, and again, just being here and kind of learning from Joe and now Alex a little bit, they really are. They're here to help. They're here to guide. And going into this wholesale adventure, I definitely am looking forward to that. But you got to kind of start at the ground up for sure. So you got to start somewhere, right? So that's where I'm at there.
Yeah, and I know we were supplying you with some leads for a while, and you were being very successful with those leads, but they've kind of dried up at this point. And then you also decided to hire a team member.
Yes.
So you created basically a group within a group.
Yes.
And that's kind of where you're at now. And so one lead source dried up, so you obviously are looking for another, and that's what brought you into wholesaling.
Sure. So yeah, as everyone knows, and especially people that are into real estate and obviously that are in tune with the market, is, I know Joe's had plenty of experience and everything, and this is the interest rates and everything, and the market is just it's different. I mean, I've only been in for a little bit. I know Joe has had a lot of experience in things, but again, with this especially, and this is another thing my wife and I talked about, is like there's some things sometimes in real estate that are out of your control. The interest rates are out of your control. There's just a lot of the buyers are backing off. You know what I mean? So also the part of real estate is that, especially getting in, you have to have that contingency plan as well. So, if you're not making a bunch of residential deals or whatever it may be, you still want to be grinding. You don't just say, oh, okay, give up and say it's not the year. Another thing with that is exploring wholesaling, and then on the agent part, right, just making sure you have tabs on everyone, because they're going to end up buying and selling. So you got to make sure that you're just top of mind. So that's that's a lot of the reason I got into wholesaling. And, that's why you see, like, with my team member, so like Joe was saying too, I did create my own team. My team member, Chris Noon, he actually, if you don't mind me just telling a quick story
Sure,
on this.
sure.
So this was actually a former client of mine. I helped him buy a home a few years back. But anyways, I had given him, a couple of shouts and said, hey, let's meet up for lunch or something. And, I was just going to go and hang out and meet up for lunch. And then all of a sudden he kind of busts out this real estate license. And I was like, wow, because I would have never thought that Chris, was going to do, like, it came out of nowhere, because he's very kind of quiet and reserved. And then I was just like, wow. And then I was always in the back of my mind, I wanted to create a team. And he just seemed to be the perfect fit, and we're very different people, I mean, he has a degree in infectious disease. He went to Georgetown he is very, very smart and accomplished. So why he's still on my team, I don't know. No, I'm just teasing. But we both complement each other a lot, which is, and again, thank you, Joe. And that's another thing with this opportunity with Palego, I just asked Joe, and he said, absolutely. So, and that's another thing about this brokerage that I really like is Joe gives me, and Joe gives all of his agents that flexibility, right? So whatever you kind of works for you, he lets you kind of run with it. And if you're, curious or you need any questions answered, things like that, it's got that weekly meeting, just endless resources. Alex, you too, we have our weekly meeting. So yeah, everything is here. I'm just very happy, to be in the spot where I'm at, and obviously, continue to grow with my team, the Oles group, and then grow and learn wholesaling as we go along with that. So I'm really excited. And Alex, thank you as well. You've been awesome. I've been going, probably about 3 weeks or so, and he's been teaching me a lot. Yeah.
So what is it exactly that Mr. Alex is teaching you?
All right.
Where are you at?
So, yeah, wholesaling, right, is essentially what wholesaling is you're finding homes that aren't on the market, or trying to find homes and offer a service to these sellers that may really need our service, so it works out for both sides. So we would essentially come in there and we would see, if it was maybe a distressed property, or maybe an older rundown type property, absentees, tired landlords, as they say. So right now, for the most part, I'm going through and I think Alex would agree, a lot of rejection. You have no life, get out of here, you know what I mean? Like all those, F off, whatever it may be. But that's what it is. It's just getting on the phone and doing it. And I think Joe has stressed that a couple times, and that is the truth. It's just, that's the hardest thing. You can talk about it all you want, but until you're out there making those calls, and trust me, like right now, it is tough. You're dealing with a lot of people, but I know I'm gonna, end up working with warmer leads and things. And as we progress, just follow up and stay in touch with all these ones. But definitely a cool experience so far, but learning from the bottom up with wholesaling. And I always say too, it's like, okay, yeah, you don't have the experience, but who's ever gotten into anything and without experience, right? Everyone has to start somewhere, and I really believe that. So that's where I'm starting with wholesaling. I feel like I'm in a good spot with real estate in general. Every day you learn, every day you see something new, which is why, I love this job, and that's what excites me every day, is just kind of come in and not knowing what's happening. So again, in this wholesaling thing too, is just been a great opportunity for me. So I appreciate that.
And real estate in general is like a problem-solving type job, and especially wholesaling. You need to, solve some issues, some problems that people may be having out there. Alex and I went a few days ago to look for a property that we have under contract, look at it. We had seen it through pictures, but when you actually go out there to look at it, it's a whole different story. And so anyways, we looked at the property. It was very, very distressed. It was pretty much a hoarder house. which what we're looking at, which is a lot of times what we buy. It's something that somebody's not going to necessarily put on the market and start marketing because nobody's going to come over and take a look at it if the pictures are ugly. I don't care how good the description is. Once they start looking at the pictures, they're just not going to look at it. The other thing about being a real estate agent and a wholesaler is that you have two ways to make a deal. If you're being a wholesaler and you're making a cash offer on a property and the seller's saying, well, that's too low, I can't accept that, then you just put on your real estate agent hat and say, okay, what do you want? This price? Okay, you know what? I'm a full-time real estate agent. If we put your house on the market, if you're willing to pay a commission and closing costs, which is the difference between a wholesale cash deal and just a regular listing, but you have that opportunity as well.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
two ways to make money.
100%. And that's the cool thing too is and again with Alex, it's just something that he's taught me as well with this is, you're going through these long lists and everybody, and yes, it is a numbers game. Excuse me, but remember too that we really are there to provide value to the sellers. We're not there to swindle anybody. This is just real life. If you have something, and just need a real quick fix, okay? It could be a situation, maybe a divorce. Like you said, maybe they're dealing with tenants that are just done. And that's opportunities to say, hey, listen, we can come in and what kind of offer you looking at, what price point, and then that's when we kind of give it back. We found that's another thing I'm working on is finding information and inquiring more on that. What type, calling on a home, the age of the home. Can you tell me about the situation? What's prevented you from listing it? What are the pain points? So we're kind of working on that script, but like you said, it comes more natural as you keep going, and that's the truth too. So I started at no calls a couple weeks ago, and now, probably up to, I don't know, maybe hundreds and maybe even close to 1,000. I don't know. But again, you do become more comfortable. There is a script to kind of go for, and the big thing too, I think you would agree as well, is the main thing is motivation and whether they're serious or not, because a lot of people will just say, hey, they want the offer, and then Alex will tell me, well, go back there and see if this guy really, do they just want an offer? Is it worth his effort to go through and put together a legitimate offer if they're really not serious about it? So that's another thing that that you preach as well, is really make sure that you're vetting these people. Because we're not really desperate to do this. We want to help people, right? So if you fit this criteria, we're here to help.
Yeah, I love that. And Eric's, very coachable. Like, just seeing him from day one till now, he's made huge improvements. He takes exactly what we say and applies it, and I'm listening to the calls, and he's getting better and better and better. And I think that's just going to propel your success even faster, is that you're taking this in and he's like making notes and then applying that. And then I have to be truthful here. Like, when Eric kind of joined us, I gave him all the old leads we called them dead leads. So they were people that 6 months ago, they wasn't a deal. And so I was having him follow up with them because some of the people's situations can change over time. And so I wanted him to get those reps in, and those are like perfect people to do it. But I have to tell you, it's like they're leads that we already knew offhand. Maybe they don't need help right now, but you're getting the reps in. And he sent a few over that some people were like, actually, now I'm kind of ready to sell.
Right.
I wasn't before. And so, we've made contact again and reheated it up, and there's money in those
Oh,
leads.
for sure. And I guess, if there's a sequence to do it, that would probably be it, right? Like, go through all these calls where you're really just going to get hit over the head. And like I said, sometimes me and Alex will make jokes, or Joe even too, and just like, oh, we're calling the police or something. They said one time. It's like, okay, it's just people, they just, sometimes they'll respond weird, but like you said, you don't take things personal, especially in this business. So like you said, you just get back, next call, keep going, and once you deal with ones that are maybe tougher, then as you kind of adjust over to ones that are maybe a little bit warmer, or ones that you've been following up with already, it's only going to make those calls easier. And I can tell you for sure, after about 3 weeks from working on Alex's team, every day that you make calls, every single one of the calls is easier or more natural as the last. That's the truth in my opinion. Every call that you do, as opposed to the previous one, you work on getting that one a little better.
Yeah.
And I'm holding this way far.
That's
so,
okay.
okay. So
Hey,
yeah,
hey,
I didn't even realize that.
we're
So
working
like
it out.
talking with your hand.
Yeah,
there,
so I'm not sure if you
That's okay.
if you heard me.
No,
Did it,
you do. Yeah.
did
We're
it
all,
capture it?
We're all
Okay.
learning how to.
Sorry
podcast
about that.
together
Yeah.
here,
Well, that's
so.
how it is. I was just talking to you guys. I
Yeah.
forget that that we're even on
Yeah.
the channel.
Yeah,
so.
you're starting to get comfortable.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
That's great.
Exactly.
And that's the purpose of doing all these calls and getting all the negative feedback is because you have to learn all that stuff.
Mhm.
You have to
Absolutely.
learn, what to say, what not to say, when to chime in, when not to chime in, whatever.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's that again, like that's a part of mine, a part of me that I need to really hone in on is letting people talk and just listening
Mhm.
because the more you're there and you're shoving things down their throat, they're just sitting there like, whoa, they can't breathe. And then you said the more you kind of hang and let them talk, they're going to give you information that, that you would have probably tried to extract, but they're just giving it to you. So you don't even have to answer questions.
Exactly.
They're giving you everything right there. So
Those are my
again,
favorite
there's ways to do it, and it makes a lot of sense. Don't be afraid of pauses, all that kind of stuff. So you just kind of hone in on that and get better.
There is a couple of extremes. The person that doesn't talk very much, and then we have Alex over on the other end here that constantly talking, and I'm listening to this conversation, has nothing to do with the property, and I'm like, cut it off. And it's like, yeah, when I was in World War II, we were in, wherever, Europe, and we were doing this, and I'm thinking like, what does that have to do with the
I'm
property?
like, in my mind, I'm like,
Yes, it's great
coming
to build
around.
rapport. It
Right.
really is.
For sure.
But there's a point where you have to say, okay, let's move back to the subject.
Yeah.
here. Are you interested in selling your house? No,
Yeah.
but thank you for calling, young man.
Right.
I haven't talked to anybody in about a week. Or
I know,
so,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have the same problem too. It is tough because, you get in these conversations and everything, but you do know after a couple minutes,
Yeah.
whether you kind of have to cut bait. But at the same time, like you're saying, it's trickier. But we got to learn certain outs, or maybe
Yeah.
me, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but again, it's all experiencing different types of calls. Like every call is
Yeah.
different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got
And that's how you learn. You just
Yeah.
have to keep calling.
100%.
And you end
Yeah.
up honing your instincts. That's one of the best things, is because sometimes now when I always tell Joe, like, the last few really good deals we've got, the person, I'll just say, can you catch me up to speed with what's going on? They're like, yeah, let me tell you what's going on, and you tell me if you can help me.
Mhm.
And I'll just zip
Yep.
it, and they just give me everything I
Yep.
need to know in
Mhm.
like 15 minutes, and I'm just like looking up the numbers,
Mhm.
and they're giving me all the stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh boy, this is a good one here, and I'm not even doing anything.
Right.
So kind of like you're honing your instincts, and then
100%.
you can tell if someone's just kind of BSing you, and
Oh,
you're like, all right, I need
absolutely,
to get
yeah.
off here.
And that's that's the thing too. I think that goes hand in hand a little bit with being an agent in real estate too, because you also have to kind of cut bait, and even if they're nice and they love working with you, you start going on 10 showings, and they're still dragging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Mhm.
okay, as much as everything, I like working with you, you like working with me, but at the same time, and we all know that that the thing with real estate and wholesaling, whatever it want to be, investments, it's all results oriented. So every minute that passes in a day, you're not getting paid by the hour here. You know what I mean? It's just so every minute counts really. So that's when you get to kind of cut bait with certain ones. Again, it all depends. So that's another thing too that's hard to grasp. But obviously, right now in a slow market, you give that a little wiggle room, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was going to say, and really kind of has nothing to do with the topic of wholesaling, but as you say, and I've been doing this for 40 years, and I'm pretty good at, when I get a call from somebody who wants to list their property. I got a call the other day. I went out there and contacted this lady, met her at the door. She says, "You can't come in. Have you had dinner yet?" Well, that's a strange question.
Wow.
I go, "Yes, I have, and my wife's waiting for me at home." And this was an older lady, so it wasn't, anything like that, anything strange. But she said, "Oh, okay, so we're going to talk about my listing. I need to eat. So let's go down the street." She made me drive her down the street, which I knew I shouldn't be doing any of this stuff. But like you said, that the market's changed. I'm going to give her a little leeway.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I always grew up like, if I invite you out for lunch or dinner, it's my responsibility to pay. Okay, so I'm paying. So she invited me, and I'm thinking, okay, well, she wants to take me out. I'm going to be, like really nice. I'm just like going to order a salad or a drink or whatever. And she orders 2 meals, not one. She literally ordered 2 meals. And we get done, and I'm waiting for her to pay. And guess what? Yeah, she didn't pay. I ended up pulling my credit card out and paid, and got her back in the car. I know she ate a little bit of the first dinner, and she took the second dinner probably, for tomorrow or whatever. Went home, dropped her off, and kind of left it there.
Wow. If you're an agent and you've been contacted by this lady, we need to hear from you.
Yeah.
Because she might be a serial.
This is a property in Costa Mesa, and she was rehabbing it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
she was like 90% done, and she knew that I did flips, and that's the reason that she called. She wanted me to go out and take a look at it. We did go back before I dropped her off. We did go back, and I did go inside and look at the place and gave her some suggestions. I literally walked in, and she had brown paper on the flooring, which was vinyl, which is almost indestructible. And so I started to walk in the kitchen where there wasn't that brown paper, and she goes, "Oh no, don't walk over there. Don't walk over there." And I'm going, "Oh my God." Yeah, okay, I think it's time for me to leave. Have a nice day. See you later. I haven't heard from her at all. So I have even no idea if I checked the other day, just curious, because I don't often do that either. It's like, once I'm done with a listing appointment, I like put it away.
Well, that's an interesting.
I don't follow up, but I did check, and it's not listed yet, so who knows what's going on.
That is interesting
with this lady.
Yeah, you never know what you see. I mean,
gets the 2 meals, takes 1 for later.
Yeah, and makes me pay for it. Yeah, like wow. So please do not call me. I'm not going to take you out to lunch or dinner. And in fact, it's really the other way around. If you want to meet with me or Alex, please call us. As long as you pay for lunch or dinner or coffee, we're there. I'll give you an hour of my time, but you need to pay, please.
I'll second him. When he says that, it's the truth, and even it really is. And if you follow through with it, and come in, ask as many questions. Joe, honestly, he's excited to help, and we have even our weekly meetings on Monday. I know that we do as well with the team that Alex has. So again, every week we're just staying in tune with the market and anything that changes, ebbs and flows. Joe's always training, with how everything is currently, because there's always so many changing and moving parts in real estate. So again, you can look out, and I think this is why Joe wanted me on the podcast, is so I can brag about him a little more.
A little bit. I've been waiting for it.
So if you're watching this, that means you subscribed, and just go through all the. If you have any questions on real estate, if it's not covered in there, I guess. Yeah.
Just simply go to the website pelago.com and put an address in, and you'll be amazed at what's on there and what tools that are on the website that are available. Every detail about that property, who owns it, what kind of bedrooms, bathrooms. It goes into an after repair value, and then it takes you into the calculator, and it shows you whether you're going to make money on this property or not. So amazing. It's a fantastic website. It's all there, right there for you. You just need to pull the trigger at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Yeah, that is an insanely resourceful page. So and that feature, just so you can pop in any address and to really just see what goes into it. Okay, the rehab costs and the calculator and what the actual repair after repair value, all that. So it's amazing, because you don't have to really do it and number crunch all that much by yourself, where you have this, so but again, it's a great tool, just like a lot of them here, which is what I appreciate about the brokerage, and it's just up to you to just utilize them and explore and everything. in my previous brokerages, I've had coaches or even our broker. I would never imagine even taking up a couple minutes of the head broker's time. Not really, never. Absolutely not. It would be like, no. But here it's just a different feeling. It really is, and it's a great brokerage. It really is. So I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited for my team, and Chris is doing an amazing job. So that is, I kind of got off tangent with that story, but he was a previous client of mine, and it's amazing how that worked out. And so just excited for everything ahead, and especially with the wholesaling and wrapping those two together and being able to speak on the agent side and also the wholesaler side is really cool.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and Eric said he's got a team that's building. So if you guys are getting new into the residential side, reach out to him.
Sure.
He's constantly learning himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he's turning into a great leader himself. So people can join your team, or
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's the goal. Is Chris and I want to really get this up and running, and then obviously as we kind of do, then we want to maybe get a couple more. I think that's my end goal.
Nice.
Maybe get a transaction coordinator or something.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that's another thing too. It's the long game. I think that's very important for people to kind of understand. Is that sometimes you're like, oh dang, I didn't get that escrow, geez, but still you have to just, that's part of the game sometimes, and you just gotta, again, it's not for the weak and weary, this game, you know what I mean? So some of them work out, some of them don't, but again, you just got to stay persistent and worry about the long game. So Chris and I are just keeping our head down. Chris is amazing at a lot of the kind of behind the scenes work. I taught him how to the whole contract the best I could, at least as a transaction coordinator. I feel like I got a good amount of knowledge from that. So I taught Chris as much as possible, and now he's more knowledgeable than me probably. So it's a great thing, just promoting all sorts of stuff. So it's exciting, and I'm excited about that. I really am.
And real quick, Pelago is an online brokerage for the most part. I do have an office in Laguna Hills. I have agents from Sacramento down to San Diego and out towards the desert. So what area do you specifically service?
Okay, so I live out in Santa Clarita, but honestly, I've done deals out this way, Long Beach, Oxnard. I always say, go where the money's green, and that's the truth. And again, this is, you don't want to go 3 hours somewhere if you're working on a $300,000 listing or whatever it is. But again, I tend to, that's my main area is Santa Clarita, but I've noticed that a lot of my deals have actually been in other spots, in different pockets of LA. So yeah, that's essentially my area, but majority of them are, in the actual kind of proper LA area.
Okay, great.
Love that. Yeah. So Pelago's a brokerage. If you guys want to learn about wholesaling, reach out to Joe and I, or even Eric. He's in the front lines with us. And we're going to be going over the brokerage tonight at a meetup that Joe is speaking at in Fullerton. So if you guys are in the Orange County area, how can they get information on that?
You can go on meetup.com and search Fullerton, and it starts at 6 o'clock. It's in the city of Fullerton, so it's not too difficult to find. Just go on meetup.com, and you'll be able to find it. It starts at 6 o'clock.
Perfect. And then also click the events. We have another meetup next Monday. So if you guys are in the Orange County area, we're going to be doing something really cool. It's sort of a Shark Tank format where investors are going to bring their deals, and then we're going to have Ryan Mitchell, Joe, and I are going to kind of break down, give our advice, and you can come and learn from people who are doing deals right now. So that's going to be really fun.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, and that's going to be at Board and Brew off El Toro Road in Lake Forest. So I really would want to see you guys there. You can click on the QR code up at the top. Is it rolling? Cool. Yeah, so go ahead and scan that. If you want more information, you can check in there, and you can obviously link up to all our socials so you can stay in touch on all the upcoming meetups. So Thanks for coming, man.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Eric's
it was
gonna
awesome.
he's gonna roll with us to the
Yeah.
meetup. So
Oh,
we're
of
all gonna
course.
be there tonight.
Mhm.
So come and hang with us, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Anything to add?
No? Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
a couple of
cool.
questions.
Here we go.
Nice.
Okay, so the first one is from Brandon. He says, Eric, I'm a newbie. What does wholesaling mean?
So wholesaling to me is it's essentially dealing with a seller without even necessarily, you don't even have to have a real estate license to wholesale. All right, so you're essentially just you're hand picking, or like you said, you're getting these lists from places, these homes that you would think might be interested in wholesaling, because like Joe said earlier, it's just a pain. The house has been, listed, relisted. What's going on with this thing? It's not going anywhere. Who's paying the mortgage payments? So again, we're just trying to help that individual seller before they have to put it on the market or anything. So that is wholesaling, in a sense, is a completely different game, I guess, in that realm.
We deal more with distressed situations.
Correct. Yes. Whereas
Distressed.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if
distressed.
you have just a regular house and,
Right.
It looks nice, it was painted recently, you're not going to sell it to a wholesaler.
Correct.
You're going to sell it to a wholesaler because it looks like a hoarder house. You don't want anybody coming over
Right.
And looking at that mess. So you just want to get what you can in the condition that it's in.
Right. And again, it's obviously it's not going to get the offer it would necessarily get if it was listed, but like what Joe was saying and Alex goes over, is these distressed properties, it's really tough to even go there and have it listed, and just to get that, and then people have that that they want to go in and redo it all and things like that, and you say, well, actually, if you want to just do this, we'll buy it as is, right? That's one of the one of the positives of wholesaling.
Yeah.
So again, like my answer to that question is, I've been in real estate just a little bit, and I'd kind of consider myself a newbie, but to an extent, and I've been just now exploring wholesaling. So, I mean, I'm even not necessarily the right person to ask about that.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that, there's definitely a difference as how you're going about it. As an agent, you're doing a completely different, you're going through a completely different process is what you're doing in wholesaling.
And just to piggyback off that, it's essentially just flipping the contract. So you're getting it under contract, and then you're going to sell that to an end buyer or flipper, and then you make the difference, which is usually $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So that's kind of
Yeah, and he was saying you do not need a license for this. You do not, and it's basically, look at it as acting. You shouldn't act, but acting as a real estate agent without a license and putting a deal together. This is the price. You tack on $10,000, $15,000, and then you sell it to me, who's a flipper, and then at the end of the day, I'm going to make more money than that.
Right.
But I need that inventory now, because there's nothing out there whatsoever. It's very lacking.
Correct. Yeah.
Do you have another question?
So first is a comment from Randy.
Okay.
I bought my first house with a 13.5% mortgage.
That's my dad.
nice. Yeah, way to go,
What's up,
Dad.
Pops?
His question is for anyone. It says, if rates don't go down, do you see people accepting the situation and eventually start buying despite high mortgage rates?
Let me take that. because I don't know, I'm probably as old or maybe a little bit older than your dad.
100%. My dad always brings that up. You guys complain about a point or so here. Back when we bought the home, it was 13%, and we were,
So let me bring you back in time, which is something I'm going to talk about at the meetup tonight. For those young people who don't remember, hopefully you remember your presidents. Jimmy Carter was in office, and when Jimmy Carter was in office for 4 years, the interest rates went up to 18, 19%. Hello, we're back. Okay, kind of the same thing. And the next thing I'm starting to teach agent is how you sell properties with creative financing, which is what I had to do when I sold my property back then. So there's a couple of ways to handle that. A lot of people now do what's called subject to. So let's say you have a loan on the property's worth $500,000. There's a loan on there for $300,000 at 3% interest. So you take that property over what's called subject to. You take the responsibility of making that payment every month, okay? And this is all in an agreement, okay? Yes, the loan still remains in the homeowner's name, but it's a perfect way to sell it. So you have $300,000 loan, you have a value of $500,000 in the property, and then you say, okay, well, I'd like to put $100,000 down, which means there's still $100,000 left. So you ask the seller, hey, would you do some seller financing for me as well? Seller says, yes, I need to sell this place. Okay, so now you're buying a property, you're putting $100,000 down, you are never qualifying for a loan. You're taking the first subject to, the second is seller financing. That payment goes to the seller, the first payment goes to the bank, and there you go, you bought yourself a house. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to teach agents now, is exactly the same thing that we did back in the late 70s. Ronald Reagan came into office shortly after, obviously, 4-year period. Carter was in there and turned things around. I mean, he turned things around pretty quickly. We went back down to, believe it or not, 7 and 8% interest was, like wonderful.
Yeah.
And it was because, like the house that I bought, I paid $160,000 for it. And 7 or 8% interest on $160,000 is doable, but my house is like $1.4 million now, and 7 or 8% interest is like, that's a lot of money. So that's the difference between the two time periods, But say hi to your dad.
Oh,
Kudos to him.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah. No, I was gonna say the same thing. You know, Joe. No. So, but again, that's what I would add on to that too. It's just like, especially, and I'm sure you'd say, Joe, in a market like this, it's very stagnant, and to entice buyers and to even give sellers these, opportunities to really sell their homes, because now you're seeing homes stay on the market longer, if they're not budging on prices. So again, it's an interesting market that way. But yeah, a lot of homes are sitting on, and then you'll find them, as they're going, then you can see the seller financing. Then they might start, changing their tune a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting too. I really had no idea what it was until you gave your presentation on it. And it's interesting, there's a lot of different ways, like you said, just strategically that can make it happen. And that's an important thing is to kind of hone all that in and then make sure that we're doing all we can, because you don't just sit there and say, oh, nothing's on the market, it's not moving, because it's not true. You know what I mean? People want to buy and sell all the time.
They do.
And
you have to make it move.
Got to.
Yeah.
And also
be creative.
Yeah, and that's the thing too about buying and things with these interest rates that are going up. And that's why I always say, right now at least, a lot of perception is it's a bad time to buy and things, but also you could say, you could also get the home on the lower end right now and not as competitive of a market, so you don't have to deal with all these going against all these bids. Yeah, you maybe sign up for a higher interest rate, but remember, you can always refinance, so that's another thing. Again, it's just these rents that are out, and especially with this first-time home buyers, to get in there, and because these rents are insane. So a lot of times, even these mortgages are cheaper or more expensive than mortgage is cheaper than the rent, and at the same time too, you're able to experience or have all the benefits of home ownership, tax write-offs, doing whatever you want with the property, owning it. And like you said, Joe bought it how long ago? Your home, you said, for
42 years ago.
Yeah, 42 years. Now it's worth quite a bit more now. So I guess my point is, it's really never not a good time to buy, especially in Southern California, because this is what I like to tell people. It's like, as long as there's the beach, the entertainment industry, the mountains, the warm weather all year round, and the limited inventory, people are always going to want to live here. So, I mean, to invest, especially down here, I'd always say that it's a good idea to buy, and if you can buy.
Absolutely. Any other questions? That's
Cool.
it.
Nice.
Good
Awesome.
deal.
Cool. Thanks for that, Dad.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
Yeah.
and shout out! It's his birthday.
oh,
happy
awesome.
birthday.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Randy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, yeah, this was a lot of fun, and
It was.
we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll see you later. If you want some more advice on real estate investing, reach out to us one-on-one.